My name is Tina Shortland. I'm here today to give a short introduction to subtitling. It's different to text-to-text translation in many ways. I've been working as a subtitler for nearly 30 years. These are some of the titles I worked on. I've done hundreds, thousands of episodes of series and films, and it is very difficult to choose just a few to show you because, I forget about them. I do the job and then hand it in, and then I start the next one, and it's all forgotten about. So I might be watching something on TV and thinking, wonder if I subtitled that one time. So these are just a few titles. I'm here to talk about subtitling, but within audiovisual translation, we have different types, and subtitling is one of them. We have interlingual, which is what I mainly do. So I translate from one language into another. We have intralingual, which is where the audio and the subtitles are the same language. And we have STH, which is subtitling for the deaf and the hard of hearing, where you give more information. You, for instance, will write who's speaking if you don't see the mouth, and information on sounds. We have live subtitling, which can be done in different ways. Automatic. You can be typing it, or you can be re-speaking it. And dubbing, you probably know what that is. That's where you have actors' voices on top instead of the original language. Audio description is for blind and visually impaired, so you give information about what's on screen. Voiceover is often used in news and documentaries, where you have one voice being replaced with the commentaries. And then we have surtitling, which is often used in theatres and opera for the dialogue there, which is slightly different to the kind of subtitling that I do. In subtitling, there's certain things you need to think about. You need to decide for each subtitle what part of the dialogue should be included in your particular box or subtitle. You need to translate the text that's in your subtitle, and this is spoken language that's then written. You have to think about the time coding, so when the subtitles should come on screen, and you want it to come up on screen when the audio starts, and you want it to disappear when the audio finishes, or a little bit later. And you have to think about the duration of your subtitles, so how long it's up on screen for. We usually go between 1 and 7 seconds, and you're going to have to condense the dialogue because you can't fit it all into your subtitle. So we probably condense about 20% of what's being said. So a lot of what's being said is deleted, and that's especially filler words. They go straight away. You have technical parameters that you have to work by. There's 42 characters per line. If you have 2 people speaking in one subtitle, they get 1 line each. It used to be just 32, 34 characters, but now with the widescreen and different technology, we have 42 characters per line, which is quite a lot. You also need to take into consideration your reading speed. Reading speed is how long the subtitle is up on screen, taking into consideration how many characters you have on screen. So we talk about reading speed as characters per second, or CPS. Now the reading speed varies depending on your client and where you are in the world. For instance, the Norwegian broadcaster have a reading speed of 10 characters per second, but streaming services go as high as 17 characters per second. The higher the reading speed, the less time you have to look at the picture. You spend more time on the actual subtitle. You need to think about your line breaks. If you have a subtitle that is more than one line, you need to break it somewhere, but you need to make it, you need to have a line break at a natural place. And you need to think about the frame rate that you're working on, whether it's 25 frames per second or 30 frames per second, and that's especially if you're time coding. It's generally good to know that. And we need to think about having a gap between each subtitle, which is usually about 2 to 4 frames. So there's different types of work that we do. They have different names as well. You can call it first or spotting or time coding or from scratch. That's where you start with just a video and hopefully a script. And you have second translations where you have templates. So you have basically the dialogue list written with time codes. So you don't have to do the time coding yourself, or you probably have to change the time codes to fit your subtitles. STH I mentioned before, so subtitling for the hard of hearing. You have to add then information about the sounds on the screen. Machine translation, you can work as a post editor, so you will have a template file that's gone through machine translation, and you will then check it and make the changes that are necessary to create a good subtitling file. There's conformance and versioning. Sometimes you start on a project and they decide to change the video, or they decide to change a bit of the dialogue, or there's little changes in the template, so the job comes back. And conformance, small changes. Versioning is when different scenes are cut or changed. There's lots of different genres that we work with. We have feature films, documentaries, children's content, comedies, series, corporate videos, and lots of other things. So people often ask, how long does it take, or how many minutes do you do in a day? And that really depends on a lot of things. For instance, your experience, your skill set, and your specific knowledge. If I had to do a documentary on something to do with physics, I would probably need to do a lot of research to be able to make a good file. And it also depends if your template is any good and how much time you have until your deadline. Because you have to deliver on time all the time. So you have your video and you want to create subtitles, and so you're going to need subtitling software. There are two sort of major different types. You have the software that you install on your computer, and then you have the online platforms. When it comes to software that you install, you can pay an annual or a monthly fee. It means that you can keep your files on your PC, but at the same time you'll have to download all the videos. The software is slightly more technical, but you can also do an awful lot more. You can work without an internet connection, which can be useful at times. And also it allows you to expand your client base, because you can say to a client who don't have their own platform that, just send me a video and I'll create subtitles for you. This is what I started on. This is called Win 2020. It was very basic. You can see the video window in the middle with the current subtitle. You have the previous subtitle above and then the next subtitle below. On the left-hand side, you have the subtitle number, and on the right-hand side, you have the time codes, the in time, the out time, and the duration of each subtitle. And this is the sort of the basic information that you need. And the next piece of software I worked on was called Rosetta, which was developed by 2 Norwegian subtitlers. I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed working with it, but it had limitations when it came to frame rate and video formats, and they didn't continue developing it, so I had to stop using it. At the moment, I'm using WinCaps. It has a bit more information, maybe. On the left-hand side, you have the video window again with the subtitle, the current subtitle. On the right-hand side, you have the subtitles. You have the time codes, in time, out time, and the duration, the reading speed. And in the middle, you have the audio waveform, which is a fairly new part of our tools. It's handy to see the waveform, so you can see when somebody starts speaking and when they finish speaking. But of course, in the waveform, you see all audio. It's not just a dialogue. So it's any sound, any music, etc. Here's another piece of software that a lot of people are using these days. You have, again, the video on the left-hand side. Here you have a template and a translation. And at the bottom, you can see the waveform again with the subtitles on top. And you can move the subtitles about to fit with the audio. There are many different types of software like this. You have Easy Titles, Subtitle Edit. It's free, but it's a bit limited to what you can do. AG Sub and many, many more. Moving on to online platforms. There are no fees, but you're not able to keep your own files. Usually, there's no need to download media files. Thank you, Jan. You can usually download your own subtitle file for spell check. It's safe and it's secure, but you're going to need high-speed internet connection for it to work. It's less technical and more straightforward, which is good. Thank you very much. But it's usually limited to just one client. So you can't use it for everyone else. Sorry, we were interrupted by Jan there, but thank you. The video can't be shared, and that's why it's favored by many companies. So here's an example of an online platform. This is by Plint Subtitler. It looks very similar to what I've just shown you. You have the video in the middle. You have the translation and then the templates on your right-hand side. Here you also have your template below the video and your translation. There's lots of ways to edit your text here. You have a good feature here on the left-hand side where you can add annotations, little notes for your QCer or little notes for your translator to say to explain a certain word or a concept or a name, for instance. Here's an example of a bit more basic, maybe simpler platform where you can't change the time code, so you have to work from a template. And this one's developed by the Danish company Decentia for their subtitlers. You can merge 2 subtitles, but you can't change the in time or the out time. There's many online platforms. We have Netflix, Pixelogic, Iconsphere, Amazon Video, Zoo Digital, Una, which I mentioned before. Una does both software that you install and a lot of language service providers use their online tool as well. And many, many more. I thought I wanted to mention just machine translation. It's a hot topic at the moment. It's a subtitle file created from a template. Personally, I find that it takes me longer to change and check a machine translated file than to just translate from scratch. But those that are used to it might find that it's quicker. Machine translation is here to stay. It will get better. Will it replace us? Not yet. When subtitling, you need to look at the whole picture, the visuals, the color, the music, the rhythm, the dialogue, the humor, the underlying theme, and so much more. And that's something that a machine can't do just yet. Last year, AVT, who I represent here today, Audiovisual Translators Europe, they published an MT manifesto so that we could share our thoughts on machine translation. And you can find that on our website. I'll put the link up there. If you want to know more about subtitling, AVT have translators associations in the following European countries. So have a look and see if your country's here. You can have a look at the AVT website. There, all the information will be there. And I have a little quote for you to finish off with. I often use this because it's syntactically and semantically ambiguous. It's very difficult to translate into any language without it losing some meaning. And this was in some series that I translated, and it came up on screen for a couple of seconds, enough for me having to translate it. I've never left a subtitle blank. I was close to giving up on this one, but that's the thing. We never leave a subtitle blank. We always have to put some kind of translation. So I think we're running out of time. So that was me. So if you have any questions, please let me know. And also, I'll be here at the conference. So if any of you want to come and say hello, that would be great.
Okay, Tina, thank you very much for nice presentation and also for shortening up to respect the time frame. Sorry again for all the technical issues at the beginning. So I ask you, dear audience, if there are any questions. I haven't seen anything so far. Okay, actually now they're popping up. Before we take one or two questions, I would just invite everyone to use this Slido and maybe express your thoughts on the conference with one word. Okay, I have a couple of questions, Tina. How do you specialize in subtitling? This is from Mariot Piquet. And maybe answer which software package do you work with most, prefer yourself?
I used to work in WinCaps a lot. I'll do that question first. But then now it's mainly online tools, and you have to be prepared to work with anything really, whatever your client expects you to work in, and you have to be able to change fairly quickly and just accept the new tools that come all along and the new technology. As for getting into subtitling, I was very lucky. I saw an advert when I was fresh out of university. I'd studied translation and languages, and there was a company looking for an in-house subtitler. They did ask for an experienced subtitler, which I wasn't, but I got the job, and I learnt in the office, sitting next to the subtitlers. And I think that's a great way of learning subtitling, getting feedback on the things that you do. There are universities that offer audiovisual translation. That's a good place to start. And also learning from other subtitlers.
Okay, maybe we just answer one more question, and in the meantime, let me answer. Yes, there will be, this session is recorded, so it will be available later on the platform. And another question that I can already answer myself, will I be able to receive a certificate? For this, you're invited to send email. I will put it in chat, but maybe you can answer last question. Do you charge per hour? If so, how do you estimate how much time it will take? This is a question from Jules.
When you're subtitling, you usually charge per minute of video. And that's why I had one slide up, if you remember, about how long does it take. So we get paid per minute of video. So you have to think, how many minutes of video do I need to do per day to get a decent living? But generally, people will do from 20 to 30 minutes of video per day. That's an 8-hour day. So it's a fairly slow process.
Okay. Thank you, Tina. And let me just write the last answer. For certificate, please write 2. And with this, actually, we really came to the end. So okay, maybe one more, because we can go 1 minute extra. Okay. Yeah, I only ever subtitled corpse videos and conferences, so it's pretty much all speech. 1 minute can take me as much as 1 hour, spotting, translating, considering, checking. Am I just very slow? Is that normal, or?
No, I think 1 minute in an hour, that depends. It depends what the content is. It depends on the sentence. And if you look at the quote I had up on screen earlier, that probably took me days to find a decent translation. So it really depends on what you're working on. If it's a drama series with very little dialogue, or very simple dialogue, then it can be fairly quick, and you can sort of speed through 10 minutes in an hour. So it really depends on your skills and on the tool, and on your experience. And the more experience you have, the faster you're going to be.
Okay, so much. Just to wrap it up then. Okay, thank you. We had some more questions, but unfortunately we don't have all the time. So I hope we answered most of your questions, and that Tina's presentation was somehow not only informative, but also inspirational for everyone. So I thank you again, everyone, and I let you go now to main session. Thank you, and enjoy your day.
Thank you.